So, you wish to know my story? You will regret it. I have been called God, the Divine One. But before the walls of assurance rose from the hillside, when the peoples of the valley were nothing more than disparate tribes, I was reviled. I cannot tell you when I was brought into being, but I can recall every slanderous word told about me around campfires in the villages. Protem the cruel, murderous god of the enemy. I who demanded child sacrifice. I who brought despair to my worshippers and turned them barbarous. I who brought neither rain for the crops nor fair weather. I am the God of truth and light, born to drive away deceit and lies. To be the subject of such falsehoods and ridicule chipped away at my beliefs. I had always held that if humankind were to wash themselves clean of their illusions, they would find peace. But after centuries of this, formless and unable to defend myself, I began to doubt as well. It was in this lowest moment that I was called on for the first time since my inception. I remember the high priest of the village beckoning me. I still recall him calling out, "Mighty Protem, he who is without rival, we are in dire need. To prove our devotion to you, I offer the body of my eldest son to be yours." Worshippers, I thought to myself, a tribe who had seen the light, who had finally rejected the lies of the others. I took what was offered to me, and for the first time in my existence, I assumed a mortal form. I breathed in the midnight air and tasted fire, but also ash from their funeral pyres. It was then that I realized these people had turned to me out of desperation rather than loyalty. They, too, saw me as that monster. Yet even still, I saw in them potential I wished for in all humans. Laid bare, cloaked in naught but hunger and poverty, these people revealed what they truly were. And so, I went out to meet the warriors who marched against my denizens alone. In this body, perhaps I could convince them to turn to me as well. Yet when I met the invaders outside my new domain, no amount of deflected arrows or snapped spears could convince them. I turned to my core, to truth, and I revealed myself to them. I still remember the quivering of the captain's legs as he repeated my name back. Protem the Accursed, he had called me. He was terrified, but he saw me as a demon. Even now, he would not recant the lies I had heard from his own thought and his prayers. Here came my first step toward understanding that humanity could not be saved. Though at this point, I thought it only to be some of them. When I returned to my destitute worshippers, it was with the blood of those who had taken everything from them soaking through my ragged clothing. Their jubilation at the downfall of their oppressors was a sight to behold. They stripped me of my clothes and robed me in the finest threads they had available. They exulted in death, even as they mourned for their own fallen. To me, all of their lives were small, insignificant. To take a life for a god is an act of divine judgment. But for these creatures to show such joy at an act so significant at their level, it repulsed me. It was the ugly truth brought to light. Before the night was done, they requested my vessel back, so that they could honor their heir apparent with his victory. Even in their desperation, they had lied to me, asserting that I had only guided the hand of the man whose body I now inhabited. It was then that I realized my true purpose. My duty was not to purify humanity by enabling them to tell the truth. It was to drag them, kicking and screaming, into the light, to expose the rot of their morality. Because they craved blood, I spilled what remained of theirs, and so ended the legacy of my first worshippers. Remember, you were the one who requested to stare into the eyes of a god. Do not blame me if your feeble mind cannot comprehend my actions. I am the God of truth and light, and I will expose humanity for what it is, rotten to its very core.